everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome back to the Dice Tower Library as we go through shelf after shelf, taking a look at them and talking about what I like about the games and why they're in the library. Although we're going to start with two games here that, well, first of all, Roar, which I think is a really cool theme about controlling a pride of lions in Africa, and yet I've never played this one. This one is definitely on the list of like a catch-a-palooza for me or something. I need to get this one played. It sounds like a really interesting idea. Prehistory is one, again, you see the big number 2 there. We look at the cover here, and I look at it and go, oh, that looks interesting, and yet I've never played this one either. It is an interesting sounding game, except for the title. The title's not very interesting, but I like the concept of it. So that's unusual for there to be two games in the library I haven't played next to each other. I have played everything else on this shelf, though, and now, so we'll start with Via Nebula. So Via Nebula here is a game in which it's a Martin Wallace train game. It's not really about trains. It's about connecting clouds or something like that, getting resources. But it is a solid, good game with great components. And very light is a strong word. I wouldn't necessarily say it's light, but it's definitely lighter and one I like. Caravan is a pretty interesting game because you are placing camels down on a board trying to connect different resources and move those resources, but you're moving, you never actually pick up the cubes and move them with the camels. You're placing them on the camels. You like move it from camel to camel. It's a pretty simple game actually that has more depth than you might think. Doesn't look great though, but it's a good game. Overboss is one that I found myself really enjoying. This is a newer game. I think it's the newest game on the shelf here, about placing tiles in front of you, building a little dungeon, and each tile gives you points based on how you place it. So you're drafting a group of a tile and a monster and placing them in your dungeon. I like the concept. It's not overly complex, but it's still a lot of fun. Libertalia, the great Libertalia. This is Citadels squared in a sense, based on, it's from Paolo Mori, but it really does have a feeling of Bruno Feduti's Citadels. But in this game, everyone starts with the same 9 pirate cards, but the order you play them in and the different groupings of pirates you play each turn, everyone's trying to outthink everybody else. It plays up to 6 players and does so quite well. Alrighty, we now enter the Stonemaier section of the shelf. This is not all my Stonemaier games, but it's definitely the very popular ones. You'll see this shelf often empty during a convention. We got 2 copies of Viticulture here. That's because one of them is Essential Viticulture, which is just Viticulture with some extra stuff added. And the other is Viticulture with the Tuscany involved, which is the only copy I will touch. This is definitely one of my favorite games, a fantastic game. I think it's the best game that Jamie's put out. Man, I just like everything about Viticulture, and the expansion is probably my favorite expansion of all time. Then Euphoria. Now, Euphoria came out before Viticulture, a dice placement game with a really unique theme. I think I like the theme and the idea of Euphoria better than the game. It's a good game, but it's not as good as his other fantastic games. Right next to it, you see here Charterstone. Now, Charterstone's one of the, I think, 2, maybe there's 3 legacy games in the library. We can't put legacy games in the library because, well, you know, once you rip stuff up, no one else can use it. This is a completed game of Charterstone. It's one I built myself, and you can play it. It's basically the same as a heavier Euro worker placement game, and I really like it a lot. I'll pull this one out and play it, and you could too. I mean, there's some minor spoilers about the campaign in it, but it's worth pulling out. Tapestry. Now, Tapestry is not as good as Viticulture. It's a good game, but it certainly was the most hyped game I'd ever seen, I think, in many a year. Now, we have 2 copies here because I think it will still be grabbed for a while. But I think after a while we might go down to 1 copy. We'll have to wait and see. But either way, it is a fantastic group of games here from Stonemaier Games. And Tapestry, while it's not a very strong Civilization theme game, it's a good game in general, and a lot of people really like it. Now, on this shelf in particular, it's pretty easy to find my favorite game, and that's Viticulture. Viticulture is just a fantastic game. And then Libertalia and Charterstone are probably right behind that. But there's some good stuff here. Eventually, I'll get around to playing the first 2 games on this shelf. But there you go. That's shelf 2D Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been exploring the Dice Tower Library with me.